So we've been talking about how to coordinate pricing, working as a team, and how do we all figure those pieces out? And Christine, did you have other people at your birth to support
I
your
had
kids?
I had a doula myself,
Okay.
and she charged $1,000 for herself, and she only did one prenatal visit, and then she just visit you one time after you had the baby.
Okay.
But yeah,
Is that
I
your
just had
first
her.
time having a doula?
Yeah, it was my first time having a doula.
Okay, so
So,
you didn't know anything different.
No.
um, so, you- so you spent $1,000 on her, and what kind of like certifications or experience did she have? Like, does she have like NRP as well, or?
I don't think she had NRP. She is DONA certified. She's been doing this at least 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, she's very good. Like, I knew her price it was a lot for me, to be honest. I felt like it was a lot of money, but I knew that she was very good at what she did, and she was very good. So I am thankful for that.
And was she open to terms? Now, terms means making payments or whatever.
Yeah, so how she did it was to hold her spot, to hold her for your due date for within that range of 37 weeks on, is that you had to pay her half.
Okay.
So you had to pay half. So you had to pay 500, and then you had to pay another 500 by 36 weeks.
Yeah, that's
And
pretty standard.
Yeah.
that was how it worked. And then she came with the home visit with the midwife to my house.
Okay.
And she said the only reason she does it that way, just because her and I have like a personal relationship, and she explained to me that the reason she does it that way was that she once had a surprise visit with one of her clients, and they decided to be like unattended, and she did not want that liability on herself if God forbid something happened. Like, she doesn't have a judgment to people who choose that, but she felt like that could be dangerous for her and her career as a doula.
Yeah.
Is what
Yeah,
she
And rightly so. For sure.
Mhm.
And so, and the other part of doing it that way is you get to, if you don't know the midwife, you get to build the relationship with the midwife,
yeah.
which is key.
I was building out like my services, like breakdown, like what I would offer, and I did include that like I was gonna do 2 prenatals, so like the free consultation call, and then 2 in-home prenatals, one of which was at that 36-week visit with the midwife, because I think it's just like so helpful to know like who you're going to be working with, what's their vibe. Like the last thing you want is like walk in, like it was so awkward meeting Emily for the first time and not knowing, was she the midwife, was she a friend, was she
Oh,
like,
yeah.
who is she, like I didn't know. Yeah, so
And
but I
Emily
feel
got
like,
there first.
yeah, Emily got there first, and then I got there, and then you guys did in Collington later.
Yeah.
And I feel like I wouldn't want to charge $1,000 solo yet, but I feel like having 2 doulas for like $1,000 would be something that I think people would be willing to pay, or like $950 or whatever, you know what I mean? Um, like even though we're not as experienced as somebody who's been doing this for like 10 or 30 years or whatever. Plus we'd have like the NRP certification at some point on top of that, and CPR and everything, so.
Yeah, because that puts you at an advantage. Just
Yeah.
having that knowledge base.
When
And
is Karen Strange doing her training in the area?
I just got a text on that. I have to look up. She sent out an email saying that her instructor from way back when is the one coming to do the training. And
Oh, well, that's pretty cool too.
yeah, so
I'll
I
do
think
that.
I think she was saying Normal, Illinois. I have to
Oh,
look.
I'm pretty normal.
Yeah.
I haven't been in a while.
So, and Christine, you just did it with Lisa.
Yeah.
And it
Is it
was
scary?
intimidating before you went, but then when you got in there,
Yeah. But once I was in there, I felt better. Yeah.
Cause like I'll be honest, I'm such a nerd. Like I always studied really hard. I always did really well in school. But like the NRP training has been making me a little nervous. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much to remember, and like, am I going to be good at it? Like, so what is it? I know
Yep.
you talked about it a little bit, but like,
Okay, so I'm like that too. I like to like research everything. I like to read. I want to be prepared, and I felt so unprepared. Like I didn't have a book for it, nothing. Like I was like, oh my
yeah,
gosh. So I was like trying to find stuff on Pinterest before to be prepared, and then I was like, what am I getting into? I don't have like a book. So I was really freaked out. So when I went into the class, most people, sorry, the baby's fussing. Most people will have done the test first. I guess you're supposed to take the test first and then you take the in-person class. I did opposite, but that actually helped
wow.
me. I guess that's just the process of how it works. To say part 2 is the in-person class, part 1 is taking the test ahead of time. But Carol, she taught me like you can do Quizlet. It saved my life.
Yeah.
So I did that. I did Quizlet online and it helped me. Otherwise, forget it.
Was the test really hard? Wait, did you do an open book?
Yeah, well, kind of. I used Quizlet to help me. So yeah,
Yeah.
I did
Great,
open book. It's
okay.
online. It doesn't know. And in what
It
also helped
doesn't.
me was Carol told me it was like it'll let you keep redoing the answers. So what helped me is after I would do something wrong, it would tell me what the right answer is. So I'd remember it or I'd like screenshot it or I'd write it down. And so then when it came back again, I'd be like, oh, I know the answer. And I wouldn't even have to check. And I'd be like, oh, I was right.
Oh, okay. So
Mhm.
it isn't like high school then. Like it's a
No.
little bit more organic, and that's good. That's good because is there
Yeah.
anything worse than taking a test? Like,
Right. And that's how I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not good with stuff with science and math are like my intimidations for me. So
yeah.
I was very nervous. So I was like,
Okay.
oh my goodness, but it worked. But yeah, but it helped. I talked to Carol before I took the test too, because I was so scared. I
Yeah.
think she knew
Well,
I was panicking.
really, I already forgot about this, but Carol, this week, today, I don't know if I'll have time tonight, but I can do it tomorrow. I'll type up all of my notes from Karen's thing
Oh,
and
yeah.
send them to you so you can email them out or post them somewhere. Oh, you
That
could
would be,
post them on the website if you
yes,
wanted to.
we could.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
because
could do
I
that.
took extremely detailed notes. I mean, when we were going back through them, we were like, oh yeah, we remember like all this now. So it's like, I think that would really help, especially since those videos aren't available anymore, which sucks. But yeah, it'll be good.
But Karen did a really good job in her video. So they were like 4-minute clips or
Yeah.
2-minute clips or whatever to get the main point. And then, but I really liked how she kept on coming back to the baby's experience. What's going on with the baby? And how not to get freaked out and just take one step at a time, just be calm. She'd always make us take a breath. Each time she did a little segment of the lesson, she goes, oh, I know this is intense, and take a breath.
And the
And
thing is that whole thing about the baby's experience, like, was really radical for me. Just like it was something I think I had thought about before, but I certainly hadn't even articulated yet in my mind. And especially like learning that just like less than a week after we found out that I was pregnant, like, I mean, I really carried that with me through like the entire pregnancy and like birth experience and like everything, just like really including the baby was such like a shift, I guess you could
yeah,
say. So that was worth its weight in gold. Um, and then the NRP was just extra on the top, it seemed like to me.
yeah.
Mm.
But it gave us exposure. The videos helped give exposure so that we had at least some language and understanding to that sequence. It's one thing to have CPR, it's another thing to have NRP. And have it explained so nicely between Lisa and Karen. They make it absorbable. I guess that's the point. It's absorbable. Now, I was talking, Accurate. I was talking to Rachel Harris the other night, and hold on a minute. I've got to.
Yeah. No, no.
I'm recording. Go. My grandson with this game and he doesn't even know, he has no clue that he's talking. But what was I mentioning? I started to mention,
said
I was talking to
You
Rachel
spoke-
and I was talking to Colleen, Rachel and Colleen, and just this self-care. This is the biggest thing when I was talking. So we were at a birth a couple days ago with Sandra and Jessica, Jennifer, and myself. And we start at 2:30 in the morning. And I kept on telling Sandra, you got to go, you need to take a nap. And she goes, no, I'm all charged up. I don't know how to take a nap in the middle of the day. And when I mentioned it to Colleen, I said, I cannot get her to listen to me on self-care and how important it is, because we went from 2:30 to 7 p.m. and she had no nap. Then she left the birth and went to a second job, got home at like 11 o'clock. And then before you know it, she had to get up to go to the other job as a nurse. It kicked her butt.
Yeah.
And I was mentioning to Colleen, I haven't gotten her to listen to me yet about self-care. And she said, then we learned the hard way.
Yeah.
But Colleen really appreciates the way I'm training everybody. And she said, it was really nice to have 4 of you here, because it was just Emily and Colleen. And they waited. She asked us to do fetal heart tones, in fact. She goes, you got the Doppler? And I said, yes. And she goes, great. So they did not rush, because I kept them up to date with what was going on, how many minutes apart, what mom was doing. And then we did the Dopplers. Baby's heartbeat was 143 consistently. So Emily finally did show up, and then the mom's purple line coming up the backside was starting to shine. Colleen got there. An hour later, we delivered baby. But Colleen was doing self-care for herself before she came to the birth, so that she could pace it out. Now, Marisol, I just saw on a post, she's a midwife in Indiana. She's just a little bit south of you, Rachel. She had 5 births in a row.
Yeah.
We can't support the midwives, and we can't support our client well if we're not doing the self-care piece along the way.
No, it's really true. It's like, that's something that I've thought about a ton just in the last several months, as I've said no to so many of them, because I was just like, there's just no way, like, I don't have any bandwidth right now. And it's like, and right now, as I'm just sort of working through like what we're going through right now, it's like I've been really, really motivated in the doula stuff.
Right.
But I'm like, I'm not gonna take a client until I'm like ready to take a client. So I'm doing all the other stuff right now, and it's enough. But I am starting to get the itch,
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear it, because Marilyn is looking forward to teaming up with you.
Great. Good. I can't wait.
Me too.
So we've got that one mom in Parks. What was it? Park City? No, what were the 2 towns? Grant Park and Cedar Lake. And you did talk to them originally, the ones
I
that
talked to one at Cedar
flew
Lake,
out there. But it gives me comfort to know when someone's closer, who can get there first.
Yeah.
Comfort for the mom, comfort that there's a team, that you're not doing it all solo. It's a big, big thing.
I was actually thinking about the family in Cedar Lake. Do you have people on them yet?
Well, so far we have Marilyn. I don't know if Jessica's going to be doing it, but it's Jessica, myself, and Marilyn. But we can always pop you in.
Okay. I think I want to. I want to talk to Michael about it again, just about kind of what our plan is right now, going
Right.
forward and clients and everything like that. But I was sort of thinking about them and I thought that would be because she's due at the beginning of October. So,
Yeah.
right?
So it gives
Yeah.
you some time. Yes. And Jennifer just got back in. This was her first birth too.
Yeah.
But you know what? She said it was very healing.
Mm-hmm.
It was very healing. And knowing it's not all on one person's plate.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
I'm just recovering from a migraine from last week. And then I got into some chicken that had MSG on it, and I'm allergic to MSG. Threw my blood pressure sky high, threw me into a migraine, it was crazy.
Ugh.
And so Sandra's going to do one of the postpartum visits, and Jennifer's going to do one of the postpartum visits. And I won't need to because we have 4.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's huge. Now it's one thing if you're living close by, like Jennifer's only like 6 miles away or something. And she's just fitting it into the schedule. But like you're 15 minutes,
26.
26 minutes away.
20 and 20.
Oh, 20 and 26. So anyways, so you guys are closer.
Yeah.
And then that provides that extra support. Now the one dad, he is very green. He needs to know everything in place, every sequence. The mom was very yellow. She wanted the vision, but it was reassuring for the dad when we went over everything
Yeah.
in detail, right? So one of his things was on the yearnings was safety and security.
Yeah.
So giving him those details made him feel more safe and secure.
That makes sense.
So
And like Deb says, you can never have too many helpful hands.
no, they just get a little at the beginning. They're thinking, what are these people going to do? Right.
Yeah.
Right. And they have no
Oh my
clue.
They really don't.
They just don't have a clue. And
Well, it's so funny because it's like even for my own birth experience, it was like I sort of went through the same thing anyway. It's like, oh, this is going to be a lot simpler. Like we don't need that many hands. Like I know what's going on. Birth workers really do make the worst clients. I tried to be so good, but and I was like, it'll be fine. And then of course, I don't know if I should actually call you at some point and like tell you the birth story, but Barb didn't make it. And so it was just Michael and my mom. And they were like, next time, more towels and more hands.
yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, it was really interesting. When I picked up the birth bag, from your mom, this was a comment. She goes, I can tell she has a little bit more experience about birth because she's telling us exactly what to do, how to do it, why we're doing it. And she was just giving us directions.
Who was?
That was your mom. That's what she said, that you were giving directions.
About me?
Yeah, how you were giving directions. You're like, you were calling out the shots. And
yeah, I don't know. I think that was my way of like coping too. During the birth, during the birth, when you picked up the birth bag from her. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, and, actually, it was a surprise that you went so quickly.
To everyone but me. To everyone but me.
Well,
I didn't believe it, but I was pretty sure. I was like, I think this is not, like Barb was like, you haven't taken like this yet. And I'm like, it's fine. Like, I think it'll be fine. I didn't believe it would go that quickly, but like I knew it would, so. And then because she came so quickly and like Michael was in shock and then my mom was like in shock, and I was like, okay, I'm in my post-birth high right now and I'm the only one here who's done this before, so I'm just gonna like tell everyone what to do. Yeah, it was really funny. I really loved that though. It was empowering actually in a way, just to be
Right.
like, okay, I got this, guys. Like, it's okay.
Yes,
So yeah.
I'm really proud of
But
you.
anyway,
I'm going
I
to
need to
send,
call you more often so we don't just like waste all of class babbling
yeah.
to each other.
no, this is valuable because everybody needs to know all of these different perspectives.
Yeah.
And so the emotions, we've been talking about the communication, all that. So Rachel, you have part of these printouts already from the manual.
Yep.
So perfect. So they don't yet. And I was trying to scan them. I was trying to get them, make copies. I scanned them in, but they're not numeral sequencing. And yeah, and I didn't put page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But
See, Carol, this is where some green comes in handy.
green would come in handy, but my scanner and my computer weren't working today. My husband was frustrated with me. And he goes, well, we changed to a new line, an internet line. So that was what.
Sure. Yes.
So I thought,
sure.
I can just do this really quick. I can just pull this up. Yeah, no, it didn't happen that way. And so it's always nicer to have people in the room than trying to figure out how to get it to everybody. So I'm going to share my screen. And go down here. I was going to look it up before we started talking, but that's where I love to have a green assistant. See if it comes up. Okay, so we're looking up the anatomy and the physiology. Now, interesting enough, knowing the body parts, but then also knowing where we hold energy. So when you're working with moms or even ourselves, and I have a silhouette in the other one, and I think I'll just, but this is so you can identify the parts, identify the body parts. And when the mom is in labor, obviously this bladder down here is completely squished like a pretzel, and we're trying to get her down. But hold on. Oh, see, that thing only scanned 2 pages. That's not what I wanted. Back.
Is it the one with, is it the what is my body telling me it needs right now?
It's just before that. There's a body skeleton, silhouette of a human body.
Yep, hold on. I know what you're talking about.
Yep.
If I haven't written on it, I can see if I.
Yes. So let me.
Here we go. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, but.
Yeah.
This one?
Yes, the human body part. Yes.
Let me see if I can turn off my blur.
Because the more we get in tune with where we hold our energetic energy. Module, looking for manual. See if I did. No, it didn't go. So I just want you to think about it. Just close your eyes a minute and ask yourself, just put your hands on your heart and ask yourself, where do I feel joy? Just be still enough to feel joy. And then be still enough to feel anger. Be still enough to feel where grief is. Be still enough to feel hope. And where do you feel fear? Okay, so give me some feedback. Where did you have different feelings?
I felt fear like here.
You felt it around your head?
Yeah.
Around your head,
And I'm feeling scared. It's like
all around you. And where did you feel fear, Rach?
The fear one was in my hands.
In your hands?
Super, yeah.
Christine, where did you feel fear?
Like in my chest.
In your chest. Okay. And where did you guys feel hope?
like right.
Like up here.
In the middle.
Let's see. I felt hope more like within my head and like my stomach.
That's cool. So when we identify and understand that we're holding it someplace, we're able to help the mom who's not talking about this. It's not even on their radar. And you'll get this sheet, and it's the feeling wheel. And we want labor to be, we want them to go from pain to pleasure. And these different feelings on the left side are the feelings that we're not comfortable with. We'd rather not experience them. And then the ones on the right side of the computer here, they're peace and loving and trusting and intrigue. These are the ones that we want to hold space for to make the moms feel safe. And compassion for these other ones, the anger, fear, surprise, sadness, loss, sometimes shame. But if we don't have a language for ourselves, at least an awareness for ourselves, how can we help somebody else? Because we don't know their story. That story is a big piece of this puzzle. And then here, you'll get this chart emailed to you. Hold on. This one. You'll get this sent to you. I'm going to turn this sideways. See if it'll come up. Well, it's not coming up. I turned it on the screen, but it didn't turn on this thing. But on here, it shows where these different emotions hold. Okay. This is a purple. And this one is, a sense of safety. And this is where historically the research has shown where we will feel these emotions where they hold into our bodies. This is in the reddish color is trying to help us hold on to anger. This is where people historically have an anger hold. And then the sadness hold is the blue. Disgust is green. Joy is the kind of the yellow orange. And then being a genius. When you feel really proud of yourself, when you've done something amazing, your genius comes out. So this is just an awareness. So when we have a mom going on and we're stroking different parts of the body, we're giving comfort to the shoulders or to their back or whatever, and we're bringing it down. So we start from the neck and we gently slide our arms down. We pull and release that energy out of their body. And we're helping them release to something pleasurable, because there's either pain or pleasure. So it's just a reminder. So when you get the chart, it'll just remind you that we start at the face, we draw the jaws down, we open the mouths, and we help them release all the way out the feet. Hold on, it's not moving. There it is. And remember this, if they're feeling anything other than the truth of God, who God created you to be, all the lack of love, the lack of lies, all the lies come creeping up, and we have to keep bringing them back to hold them. No, you're going to be able to do this. No, you're doing a great job. You were made for this. You are creating. And every time we renew that truth into each of us, we're claiming, we're making an what do you call it? We're putting the flag into the ground. And we're not going to let go of that flag. Interesting enough, let me get this one up. Oh, sorry. I'm going to send these files and then you can print them when you get them. This is the one I want. So when we know the truth, we can sleep peacefully. The average person in the United States, 85% of the humans are below the frequency of courage. And what do we have to instill in a mom and the dad? We have to hold the space of courage and above. But if we're coming from the space of love, joy, and peace, and we've worked our own story, right? We know the truth. We can help them get past all the doubting, all the fears, all the other parts of the story that doesn't belong. We give them courage. And by doing that, it changes the game. Christine, did you have a point in any of your births where you doubted yourself?
Oh yeah, especially the last one. Like I knew from another birth I had, I knew that when I'm in labor, like it doesn't like hurt at first, like it's just really small contractions, like of a cramping. And I knew that's how I am, but then I was worried that it wasn't gonna, even though I knew I was having like beginning labor and everything was working, I was just so nervous because we were doing it so different for a home birth that right before I like went into transition, I actually like, and we did have a lot going on with, breaking the water and with the cord prolapse. So it was a lot of stuff happening. And I actually was like at the edge of my bed, and Monica was like, listen, you need to just lay down and relax. But before you do that, we need to like talk. And I was like, what do you need to talk about?
Yeah,
And she's like, no. And she's like, everybody, she's like, you just have such a brave face on and you're just so confident. You've been so stoic and positive and happy. And she's like, you gotta like let your guard down here. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I am, like, this is who I am. And she's like, I know this is who you are. She's like, but I know, like, you have your guard up. Like, you're totally keeping, like, a whole guard up. And I was like, okay. So then we're talking, and she's like, what are you worried about? And she's like, are you still okay that I'm here and not Rachel? And I was like, yes, I'm okay. Because I was with Rachel a lot in my
Yeah.
visit. And I was like, no, I feel confident with you still. And she's like, okay. And then she's like, okay, so how do you feel about how everything's going? And then I just started, then you know what? Then that actually, she was able to get me to actually break my guard. And then I started like crying, and I was like, well, I don't know if this is going to work. I feel like I'm not like going fast enough. And she's like, oh my gosh, you're fine.
Yeah.
And she's like, all we're going to do right now is you're just going to lay down and rest. You're in labor. She's like, it's just, we just have to wait it out, and we're all just going to rest and let you have your space. It's like a natural thing that moms need to have the needed dark and to be peace and relax, and us out of the room. It's natural. And I was like, okay. She's like, so we're going to do that. Everything's going to work. And after that, and she left, I went to the bathroom, everyone was out of the room, and then I just went full blown labor within not even a half hour. So that's really true about that whole energy and connections, and having that connection with your birthing team, and for them to help you break that down,
Yes.
because I really think that's what sped everything up. I was like, okay, you know what? She gave me the confidence. Everything's going to work. I need to stop being scared and worried this isn't going to work, because I was scared to death that I was going to be sent to the hospital.
Okay.
Scared to death. I did not want to go, and I was and I should be clear, I'm not like, I have nothing against people who go to hospitals. It's just I had a lot of hospital experiences. I didn't want that again for myself.
Yeah.
So there's no judgment to other people. It's just for me and my own like personal story. So I did not want it for myself or my child. So that's what was really holding me back. So that really helped me, from her breaking that down and having that connection with me to work it through.
Can I hear a movie?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Maybe
sorry.
like this?
Yeah, so it really was important. I don't have headphones, so you have to be patient with me.
Hello?
It doesn't work like that. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, so like when you're saying all this, I definitely was like, oh my gosh, it just was making me think of with Monica and how she, obviously she's experienced, she knows all this. So she was spot on, and I was pretty impressed later on in reflection that she actually that she knew that was going on in me, that I was like, yes, I was positive and happy and friendly with everyone, but I was totally freaked out, and she was right.
Yeah. And
So
she was perceptive
yes.
Mom.
Yes.
and used that intuition.
Mm-hmm.
When Rachel was looking for a midwife and her journey, you want to share some of your journey, Rachel, on how this applies, like even searching for a midwife?
In terms of what? Like intuition or?
Well, you know how you were having a hard time finding a midwife because you were so far, and
Yeah, it was frustrating because it was like I had looked, gosh, in, I don't remember, late 2021, I think, for a midwife, just to see who would like service the area. This was obviously long before I'd met you. And I had found some that serviced Northwest Indiana, and I was like, great. I found one that I really loved. I looked through their website, and I was like, this is who I'm going to go with. I am super certain about this. It'll be fine. I mean, I wasn't super certain, obviously, but like, I was like, it'll be fine. And so then I got in contact with them, and I talked to their like assistant for 2 hours or something. She's a doula. And there were like some things that I didn't love, but it was okay. And then she like texted me out of the blue later and she's like, we don't service your area. And then I texted her back just to like, it was like so out of the blue. And I never heard back from her. And that was really like upsetting. um,
Oh.
I don't know if it was just like a couple of miles away or what it was. And then it was like Rachel would have come, I'm sure, you know, but I am pretty far. And so then I was like reaching out to tons and tons of people. Nobody was available. Like we went all the way out to like the Wheaton area to try to like find someone, or you know. And so it was like there were people that I was coming across who had like philosophies that I didn't mesh with, that I didn't want for me, or like people who just didn't have like availability or anything like that. And so finally I like texted Carol because I was like, I am hopeless. It was so dramatic, really. And so then she just like texted me Barb's number, and she turned out to be my midwife. It was crazy. It was like we went into that initial consultation and we walked out, and of course I was like, well, I don't know, like there's this and there's that. And Michael just looks at me, he's like, every single thing that came out of her mouth has also come out of your mouth regarding birth. We're gonna go with her. And I was like, you're right. And that was good. And I don't really know, like I wonder about it sometimes, if there would have been like any other midwife who would have let me give birth to her at home, or if they would have transferred me to a hospital at that point. Like I really don't know. So I'm really happy for that, you know. And just and like it's one of those things where this whole experience has I had feelings about things regarding birth. And one of the things that I really believed was that, you know, as long as you are like authentically seeking it out, you know, everything in your birth is going to work out the way that it's supposed to. So like there was this one woman in my childbirth class who was just super stressed because there were only 2 suites at the hotel with like a tub, and she really wanted a water birth, and she was just so worried about like if she was going to get like a suite with the tub. And I didn't say this to her, but like I just knew that it was going to be fine. Like it was really going to be fine. Like if she was meant to have a water birth, it was just going to happen, because that's how it works with birth. I mean, I think you can kind of screw yourself over, like if you're just kind of whatever about it, but like I genuinely believe like we're given the birth that we need to be that particular child's parent. And I think that that's true even for births that get transferred, or births that end up needing to be C-sections or stuff like that. Yeah. So
Yeah. So Marilyn, you didn't have the kind of birth you wanted.
No.
So the way I'm sharing this now, as you're hearing this, what's churning inside of you?
Everything. I'm just thinking about how amazing they are to have multiple births at home and on their own terms. I'm just like blown away listening to
Yeah.
them.
And is there some things that you would have desired to have in your experience?
Definitely.
Yeah. And it makes us, when we have a contrast and we really are awakened to that contrast, I think we take more time with the client. I think we take more time to build the relationships and to really stay true to honoring as much as we possibly can with the situation we have.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, that's really true. Because I know for me, that's why, like, when I said I met with Rachel a lot, is
Mhm.
because I had a lot of like trauma from just having all these babies and never having them how I wanted to have it done, and all the interventions and stuff.
Yeah.
That certain things, when I would tell the midwives, they'd be like, "What?"
Mhm.
yeah.
You'll see there'll be a total difference.
Yeah.
And you'll be your experiences that you've had now to help other mothers.
Yes. Yeah. And we can really take time to nurture them if we've taken time to nurture ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be, because, you know, it says, love thy neighbor as thyself. Well, hello self,
Yes.
not much love and that much
Yeah.
nurturing, good food, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, so I just love working with Rachel and the midwives
Mm-hmm.
because they honor that space.
Yes.
They honor the students who are coming. And like
Mhm.
I told Rachel, I said, I try to get them into a birth as fast as possible.
Yeah, that's such a good thing too, because you'll get into, I totally would have gotten into my head, you know, if we'd started learning stuff, because then you're like, oh, well, can I do it or whatever? But it's like just doing it right away. You're like, oh, okay, sounds good.
Yeah, I just
I
love
could
the
do
way
this.
that Rachel just fell into, she's watching Jamie on the floor in the living room. I'm just sitting back. I'm just going to observe to see what steps who's taking. And she was the first to step up. Do you remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Oh, I remember that because I was like, nobody's doing anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Driving me crazy. We're all just like sitting there hanging out in like the kitchen while like Jamie's like playing music and like chilling by herself. And I'm like, all right, this isn't right. And so I went over and hung out with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was going to sit back and let it happen just the way it was until somebody stepped up. I wasn't going to step in. And I was so proud of you. You were,
Oh,
that was my little blue ribbon moment. I was like,
oh really?
yeah, it was.
Aw.
So I just
I
have to
love
tell
it.
you, Emily and I just went like, yes.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it was working. And then when we're in the bedroom and I'm just listening, every once in a while I peek out, but you guys weren't looking at me, we just listened. And everything's going well if the mom isn't complaining. Mom will tell you
Yeah.
real fast if that's not working. You find out real
Yeah. Oh, you do.
quick. So there's purpose and value and labor support. And there's pages I'm gonna send you. And it's going to talk about the emotional, the physical, the financial responsibilities. So there's this scanned on one set of pages, front side, and a different scan and one to the back side. So, as you'll see, there's different areas of responsibility. We're there to help educate the client as well as support them. So it's not going to be a consistent page right here. Sorry about that. But the biggest thing that families or any human person has is a fear of ill health. Something's going to go wrong, fear of criticism, fear of loss of love from family, friends, or acquaintances, fear of poverty, fear of death, fear of loss of liberty, and fear of failure. If we understand that experience and where we identify that, where we've had that experience, so when I had my first home birth, my house went into foreclosure because our senior business partner skipped town with the secretary, and we had a fencing company with $1 million contract for Chicago Stone and Quarry. And my house was in foreclosure because we had signed over the homes as collateral for the equipment. And lo and behold, not only was all that money gone, but so was the secretary, so was the CEO, but we didn't have signature privileges on that. So I had the fear. True story. I'm thinking they're coming for my house. IRS is going to come for my house. And I'm running across my front yard with my two most valuable things, my bowling ball and my ice cream maker. No, true story. They would not want either one of those things, but I was bowling with my mom on a bowling league. So that was important to me. And making homemade ice cream for the family was important to me. So I went to hide those things at my brother's house. I mean, seriously, you're not thinking. There was no rationality there. But I was dealing with that, and Linda Graff, a certified nurse midwife, she did my whole birth. She understood where I was on financially, emotionally, all of that. She knew I didn't want to break my tailbone again. And she just opened her practice, and she charged me $400. That's what I could afford.
Mm.
And the house was supposed to be turned over to the court the day Becky was due. And I went to the court to petition for me to have my baby at home and 2 weeks after to be able to stay there. And the judge granted that because it was going to be home birth. But you would never know, right? You don't know what people are going through until you walk in the door and you really build up that trust. So if we have any of these feelings going on, sure, bet your bottom dollar, so does the next person. It's a human experience. So anyways, I'm going to go to, so we want to help educate, inform, support the developmental progress, the whole 9 yards. Let me slow this down. See if we can get to the next one. Manual. Sorry, it's taking me a little bit. Baby. I think this is the one I have open. Let's see. Okay, so now we're going back we're going back to the anatomy. Now that we know that emotions can be held in different parts of the body for each of us, I've got a couple books that one is a couple of healing books. So sometimes moms or us, when we're holding an emotion, it can affect these different organs. And we might have a backache, but the backache really might be grief. But we're holding so tense, right? Christine, like you said, you were holding all that in, but you were experiencing it. And the baby is experiencing it too. So look at how much you released when you let go.
Yeah.
Everything. Did your breathing get better?
I mean, literally, I think I felt so positive, relaxed, confident, positive, excited. Like it really helped me.
Yeah.
It was I was like, okay, like this is gonna work. This is not a problem. I don't know why I was worried. I'm not going anywhere. We're good to go. And then that's everything just sped up because of that. It was a total, like you said, it's an energy shift.
Energy shift. And baby had his own experience. Or you have a girl, right? You have a girl?
Yeah.
You have a
Yeah.
girl. So she had her own experience to that emotion.
Yeah. I mean, because there's nothing else that would have really done that.
Right.
I mean, especially in how fast it went after that too.
Right. Now, in a
So-
hospital setting, you have all that going on, and a mom has no sense of any of these perimeters. And what would they probably do? Offer you medication.
Yep.
Let's have a spinal block.
Yeah.
Let's just shut you up.
Mm.
But did we fix the problem?
No.
We didn't address any of it. So we have to be able to support the mom in so many layers and understanding it this way. Because, okay, so you went into labor with your first one, and what happened, Marilyn?
They forced me into labor, I think, for 3 days.
Oh, so she got into with Pitocin?
And they did that, they started it at like 7 a.m. and he wasn't budging, he didn't move. They just kept upping it and upping it and upping it, and at one point it was just like, I was just in so much pain, I was just like this for hours and hours and hours.
Right.
And I couldn't move, I couldn't breathe, and no one cared. I was just, they turned off the light and told me to go to sleep, but like I was literally just sitting there like this,
Right.
tense and rigid and in so much pain, like my whole body hurt because I couldn't move. I was just stuck in one spot and I couldn't breathe. So they put the little mask on me, and I was like, I don't want that, I can't, that's not helping me breathe. And they just kept forcing it.
Right.
And my son he finally didn't come out. It was like 3 the next morning. And he
Holy
finally
crap.
did, and that's only because they kept upping the Pitocin and
Did
forcing.
they give you an epidural?
Yeah, right away, as soon as I got it.
Yeah.
Before I started it.
Really?
Mhm.
So when you get Pitocin, it also tightens up the cervix.
Mhm. He kept climbing back up too. They said every time my body would push him down, he pushed his way back up. He wasn't ready.
He wasn't ready.
Mhm.
And
Aw.
how was his personality as a baby?
The way he is now, very stubborn. If it's not his way, he's not gonna do it, just like his birth. He wasn't ready to come out, so every time they tried to push him down, he pushed his way back up, just like when we were trying to find his sex. They literally had me hanging upside down on the little table, like trying to shake him. And he's like, look, he did this, he literally put both his feet covering himself. And he balled up really, really tight, and they were like pushing him, so he was rubbing like shifting my belly, and he was like, I don't want to. And then when he finally decided, he's like, fine. He just did that.
Oh,
Like,
for heaven's sake.
hey. So yeah, he's the same way and has been like that his entire life. When he feels like it, he'll do it. He's almost 13 now, so I'm like,
Now, what's your next one? What was your birth experience with your next one?
she was on her way. I was on my way to a doctor's. I went to the doctor's appointment. I think I had like maybe 2 weeks left or something like that, or maybe a week left. And she was on her way, and I think I was like maybe at 4 when I got to my doctor's appointment.
Oh,
So they sent me upstairs. So that was at my hospital. So he sent me upstairs, and again, right away with Pitocin and trying to force her
See,
out.
you're like me. I had that yeah. I always was given Pitocin for every delivery, and they'd break my water.
Yeah.
So I'm with you.
and at 4
Even when you're
centimeters,
in labor. Yeah, even in labor with my third, I had the same experience. They did they tell you weren't going fast enough
Yes.
or not strong enough contractions?
Yes.
Yeah, same.
that's crazy.
Mhm.
And you had 4 centimeters. You
Yes.
know?
Yeah. Yep. Same.
And
I
they used
understand.
to say 4 centimeters was active labor, and now they're pushing it to 6 centimeters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
By the time, because I didn't go straight upstairs because I had my son with me for my doctor's appointment. I walked around the hospital for about an hour until my mom got there to pick up my son. And by the time I got upstairs, I was at 6 because I had been walking, and they still gave me more Pitocin.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Now,
Do you mind sharing where you delivered at?
yeah.
Westlake in Maywood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, West.
See, I had this at Prentice for most of mine. Prentice and then yeah, for all of mine like that.
Yeah, Prentice is a medical teaching
Oh, yeah.
hospital. So you have to know that you can deny students,
Yeah, I didn't.
but
at
nobody
mine.
knows that. They don't tell you that. And if you take their classes, they're teaching you their program. And then what was your third?
My third, I took castor oil
Okay,
and I tried to force her out. I spent the entire day walking and she wasn't getting anywhere. So I just went to the emergency room like, oh, I'm not feeling well. Can you just check and see if she's coming? And they were like, no. They're like, well, you're starting, you're at like 3, but they're like, but there's no rush. So I went home and I took the castor oil and I woke up in a huge pool of like blood. And I guess it was everything around her was like forced out because when I got to the hospital, they said her water bag hadn't broken. So the blood wasn't like
so you're,
didn't bother her at all. Wasn't anything to do with her. It was just everything around her fell out, but her water bag was intact. And I think I labored for maybe an hour and a half. And then finally the doctor was just tired of waiting and he broke the water and then she fell out.
left out.
Mhm.
Interesting. So being compassionate to each other's stories. And those those experiences can be traumatic.
And again, I spent the entire time like this. The whole time I was in labor, I was sideways and I was cramped up and my body was so tense. She couldn't come down because I wasn't like
Yeah,
ready. For
Nope.
And no one was like, hey, like stretch out, like
relax.
Like
Right.
nobody did anything. They just were just like walking past me.
But they don't really let you relax. Like
Yeah.
they keep you in the bed. They tell you to move from side to side. They put that peanut pillow in between your legs.
Mhm.
Even if you ask to get up, you can't with the Pitocin because you
Yeah.
know within a half hour of the Pitocin, they're trying to get you to have an epidural.
Yeah.
Right.
You really are stuck.
Yep.
Yeah, it's something. So so I'm gonna send you guys printouts. We have a couple of the other, let me go back. We have a couple of the other sheets.
I don't.
Hold on, where is it? For positions of labor. What supplies? Now, you still have your supply list from Rachel, right?
I do. Yes.
Yeah. So I have the supply list from Home First and some others that I have in our back office. Where did I put it? Labor positions. Color card.
Now, the doula I had, she told me that she always kept like a crock pot and a huge stock pot in her car at all times for
Yes.
births, extra. And do you recommend that as well?
Well, you end up finding out that not everybody, this is how it goes to prepare the family. So on that supply list,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they haven't bought one, they don't have the money for it, whatever. And we will want to have them available. And so extra sump pumps for the tub, air pumps, sometimes the electric heating pad.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. The electric heating pad. We do keep
Okay.
extras.
All right. I know I'll have to buy more stuff because I just gave Rachel like everything I had extra from my birth. And like I gave her the extra, like the hose connector I had.
Yes,
stuff like that. Because I figured if the midwives can have it, at least our families who need things that can't
Exactly.
afford it, yeah,
yes,
she could, she always is so generous to hand out when someone needs
Right.
something.
and it's really important to have those things ahead of time. So we really
Okay.
coach, the clients. When we're going through the box of supplies, what to go, and to already, as soon as we leave, try setting it up, make sure that the adapter works. Make sure the hose connects properly, make sure the tub blows up properly and stays inflated, which is a big deal, right? Because you don't want
Yeah.
that to be deflating. We go through the birth box, everything that's in the birth box, we go through each item, we lay it out, and we encourage the couples, because at that time you're usually 37 weeks or so, when we see you with that and you've gotten the tub already. So we set up an area on a table or something, because then when we walk in, it's all good to go.
Mhm.
If somebody's going lickety split, they can handle it. And we don't have to guess where it's at. The dealies are there and all that. And I also coach the families, if you are in labor before we get there and you're in the bathroom, please, if you start feeling pushy, go on your hands and knees, but put your bottom towards the door. Or you put the chucks between the seat
Mhm.
and the tank. So if you start pushing the head and you're sitting on the toilet, that chucks is going to help slow that baby from hitting the water. But you don't want them aiming towards the back corner of the bathroom.
Yeah.
Right.
And we want, or get them up on their hands and knees on the bed, because this mom in this position, it's not showing her on her hands and knees, it's showing her on her back. But for pretty much any position for delivery, you have the mom on her hands and knees. If it's a breech, that's the position you need to have her on, so that the baby will drop appropriately. And if you're all by yourself, baby's going to land on the bed, or if husband's there, or even your kids, somebody can support the head as coming out. Most times, if babies are coming out quickly, they're just going to slide out.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just, and you coach them to make their beds twice. So you have the labor sheets and then the after bed sheets, right, Rach?
Yeah. Barb told me that there wasn't going to be any water.
Yeah, well,
And
that wasn't
Oh
true.
my gosh.
yeah, and I think her definition as a midwife of not much water and our understanding of not much water was a little different. But yeah, they went through, Michael and my mom were just like going through chucks, like I think they went through like 30 pads or something like that, just like constantly switching them out and stuff. And the only time we got anything on the sheets was when I got up to deliver the placenta in the bathroom, because I just could not mentally do it on the bed. Yeah, and we had a spare sheet clean by some miracle, and the other pair got clean, and it was not a problem at all. I couldn't even believe it. Yeah. Yeah.
These are details that coaching the client so that they have an understanding, because when you're in the intensity of the labor, you're not thinking this clearly.
No.
And I think it's also really, really, really important to do all of these steps with all of your clients, even if they've had like 5 home births before,
Right.
because like in my experience, there were things like, even though I've attended birth and I am very knowledgeable. I'm like a birth worker. There are just things that in my own experience, like I didn't think about, and so having somebody say like, oh, do you have this and do you have this and this is everything you need is like really, really, really important. So yeah.
Yes. And we're there also to, when we're doing a home tour, we're giving them labor management suggestions of different positions that they can do at home before we get there and doing labor when we're there to support them. There's one position that I love teaching is the stuffing. I call it stuffing because the mom stays out of the way. So imagine this person down here is really just stuffed with pillows. So they're leaning up against the bed. And then instead of a human person holding her up, she's got pillows underneath her legs and her ankles are touching. Her jaw has to be relaxed, her shoulders. You can tell immediately if that mom is fighting her labor because her jaw will tighten up, her eyes will frown, the shoulders will raise, and the legs will tighten. And by doing that, she can sleep between contractions. She can breathe because sometimes, as you get farther along, it's a little hard to breathe. And it's a great position unless he's posterior. If it's a posterior, then you got back labor. That is not a great position. Getting up on hands and knees is a better position. And of course, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was just gonna say, sorry, I thought you were pausing. It's like one of the best tips that I got was from Deb, who just like made us, strongly suggested that we practice labor at home. And then actually like going through different positions with them, like the couples to practice, the mom to practice, I think is so helpful because it's like in my experience, I knew like I could have an instinct to do something or to get up somewhere, and I knew like what that meant, like what to actually like what position to actually get in because like I had background knowledge. And so like if you really do talk your couples through like a bunch of different things that they can do, they might not do any of those, but it's like they know what's available to them. So if they're like, oh, okay, well, she said do the stuffing one or whatever, well, I don't want to do it in that position, but I can use pillows to support me in XYZ way, which they might not think about in the throes of labor otherwise without having had practiced. So
yeah, especially for the primates, and sitting like this one, she's in a chair sitting, facing the back of the chair. We do that in the toilet with the toilet and putting the pillow on the top of the tank because it's a great position. Mom can constantly pee. We can massage her back and bringing that down. One of the things that's good to have in our car is the squatty potty, because lifting her knees up a little higher gives her more pelvis space. And my daughter used to have all these things in her car and everybody would say, but she did not have a van. She had an SUV and it was always packed because there was tubs, there was balls, there was scales, birth supplies, you name it. And getting back into it, the back of my van is pretty full right now. And I have a whole office packed with stuff. So, because we're there to make the client more comfortable. And if between us, all of us in our own birth bags and between Emily and Colleen and stuff, we don't have, an extra this or an extra that. We didn't have a sump pump. We ended up hand bailing that tub out.
Oh, wow.
We also had to hand bail to fill the tub because the hose did not work. We told the dad to try it ahead of time. He didn't. It was after hours. He couldn't go to the Ace Hardware. It wasn't close by. So we filled the tub by buckets. We emptied the tub by 5-gallon water bottles to empty it. So, yeah, it's important. But you get copies of all of these little printouts. For sure. So, well, the ripple effects that you're going to make, your roots and your wings, you're grounded in your story. The difference you make by the actions you take is going to make a difference. We start out with prayer before we leave. This is a self-directed prayer time, but it really does help anchor us. Were you praying when you went to Jamie's birth, Rach?
Gosh, I'm trying to remember. I believe so. Yeah, it was. I was really getting in the zone and connecting to God and everything
Yeah.
on the way there. Yeah.
So we know that we're being divinely led. So he's our best business partner, our best coach, advisor, and we need that direction. So it's our best it's called the global soul positioning. When you reach out to God, you get to connect with him, listen to him, and be guided by him. So let me go. All right. So for today, because I can't get the other sheets pulled out for you guys. The other things that I'll send you is the list for the home births, what to have. When you're first going out to your first birth, you don't need a lot of things. You just need some basics. The main thing that the person who's waiting for you is you. You are the most important tool. The other things, you can grab their hairbrush. You can help them with the acupressure points on their hand, your soothing voice, your loving touch will be so valued. Just so valued. And that's your biggest tool, along with your story. You've got the gift of compassion. You have the gift of nurturing. The other stuffs are added items. If you need a sheet to do it as a rebozo, you can ask them if they've got a twin size sheet, right? If they need to do a pull to help pull with the two hands on the sheet, you can wrap the sheet around your body and they can pull and then bring the legs up. All these different things. Birth is very simple, but the more we listen, where do you feel it? Where is it pinching? How can we bring them relief? We start to problem solve as we figure out, okay, this head is rotating, it's coming down. Mom's trying to move. Encourage her to move. Sometimes they don't want to move, but if we turn her on her left side or turn her on her right or get her up on the toilet or get her in the bathtub, she'll feel relief. And we just try them. And if it works, she's not going to say a word. And we don't have to either. If it's not going to work, Jessica, quit looking in the shower.
Um,
She would get distracted, and she was putting the pressure on this mom's back.
And we all tried. The dad tried, I tried doing the pressure. Nobody had magic hands like Jessica did. And Jessica would get so concerned about the water leaking out because she's like, we're losing hot water for the tub. And so she would like get up and try to help. And Jamie would just be like, get back here. She'd just yell at her.
Yeah.
Really funny.
Yeah. So the little things along the way. The little things along the way. So do you guys have any questions for tonight?
How can we learn about all the different like pressure points to be able to help the moms?
We're going to, they're in the book, and I have pictures that I
Okay.
have pictures for you guys.
Okay, perfect.
And I'm really a picture person. So
Me
trying
too.
trying to get a lot of the graphics is very
Okay.
helpful.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so we
Um,
will have that, and hopefully I'll get all the different pages scanned and sent you guys. Well, you're here, so maybe I can get a lot printed. Maybe you can come up one evening, bring one of the kids to help with your little one, so she's not totally fussing in the back of the car, whatever. And did you guys drive?
Actually, no, we were able to fly this time because Allegiant had like really cheap flights. So
Amazing.
yeah, so it was a blessing. So my kids and I were able to fly. Well, my oldest stayed home and my husband had to work still, but the flights were like $58 one way. So it was like $100 basically for each
Oh my
person.
gosh.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
you
it was
can't
a
even pay
huge
for the gas.
blessing. Right, yeah. So it was a blessing. We're thankful.
Where did she go?
She went from here to Georgia.
Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah,
Wow.
I know.
Yeah.
I've never flown Allegiant. What airport did you go to?
I guess we went through Midway, but they also have a spot in O'Hare. So you can
Yeah,
go from
I see.
O'Hare or Midway.
Oh, you used to work for Allegiant?
Well, I used to work for a handling company, Swissport, but
Oh.
we handled Allegiant at one point.
Oh, you did.
Oh.
Yeah, I used to work for United. My husband retired from United. I created the bag tag in
Oh, wow.
1996. But yeah, so we've got a whole booklet for different positions and what to do, when and how, and then when we do the prenatal visits, we give examples of that as we're walking the couple through the role
Okay.
play. So that reinforces everything that we've been learning.
Okay, that sounds great.
So anyways, I think we'll cut it short this evening, and I just want to say thank you.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Nice to see you, ladies. Bye. Sorry it got dark on me over here.
No, I know
Sorry.
your East Coast time.
Yeah, sorry. All right, bye.
All right,
Bye,
bye-bye.
guys.
Rachel, wonderful seeing you.
Always good to see you.
I love you. You're the best.
Love you too. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.